Morning, all. All right, so we have two games tonight in the National Hockey League. They're both early games as well. And then tomorrow we've got, I think it's 14 games. So, yeah, the schedule continues like this through until about the end of November. Yeah, it's fine. So 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between the Washington Capitals and the Ottawa Senators. This being the first of three meetings. They'll meet again on February 26th as well as April the 7th. On the Washington side, they're now 1-1. Matthew Phillips had a goal and an assist in their last game. They're scoring one goal per game because they got shut out in the first one. They're allowing 3 goals per game, so 6 goals overall. We'll see how they do tonight against the Sens team that's getting Josh Norris back. He makes his debut tonight. They're 2-1. Brady Tkachuk, 4 goals, 1 assist, 5 points. Their scoring's been good minus Norris. 4.33 goals per game. They're allowing 3 goals per game. So for Ottawa, we'll see how things go tonight. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific start between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Detroit Red Wings. Both teams 2-1. Both teams feeling pretty good about themselves right now, I would think. And both teams looking to go 3-1 tonight. So for Pittsburgh, Crosby, 3 goals, 1 assist, 4 points. He doesn't look like he's 36. 3.67 goals per game for the Penguins. They're allowing 2 goals per game. The Detroit Red Wings have DeBrincat with 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points in 3 games. I think he's enjoying it in Detroit. They're scoring 4.33 goals per game. They're allowing 2.67 goals per game. So goal differential is something to keep an eye on. If you're looking at goal differential, right now it's a really strong one for Detroit. But it is early. This is the first of three meetings. They'll meet again on March 17th as well as April the 11th. Now, moving on to news of the day for all you fine people. Luke Schenn is out 4 to 6 weeks. It's a lower body injury for him that'll keep him out of the lineup for the Nashville Predators, a team that is off to a 1-3 start. And I mean, we knew the playoffs were going to be a challenge for them, and the bounce back's looking less and less likely. But we'll see whether or not that changes over the next week and a half, 2 weeks. Kirby Dach. So this came out yesterday. Just missed it on the last news video. It's a torn MCL, ACL for him in his right knee. He is requiring surgery. He is out for the rest of the season. So it is a bad news, worst case scenario for Kirby Dach and for the Montreal Canadiens. It is a shame because Dach is a very talented player. I like his game a lot. But it is another extensive injury for him. And when you're dealing with both a torn ACL and MCL, that's going to take a while. The Vancouver Canucks, so they've sent Akito Hirose down to the AHL, so he's in Abbotsford, and Friedman's been called up, apparently wearing the number 51 in practice, so he's already at Canucks practice. And Rick Tocchet sounded off last night about the Canucks and how there was only one Canuck that showed up, and his name was Thatcher Demko. He was not happy with the rest of the team. So, well, every now and then there are discussions of whether or not I'm too hard on the Canucks. Well, they got a coach who's not happy with them, and I'm glad that's out there. That there's a coach who's willing to say, yeah, these guys aren't playing well enough. I sometimes think the Canucks have had have been allowed to kind of skate by. So, yeah, Tocchet not being happy has got some in the market discussing, well, is that too harsh? Nah, it's not too harsh. You have to be willing to call out your team, and so I respect Tocchet for calling them out, and he's not wrong. That effort against Philadelphia, especially in the second period last night, that's just not going to get it done. So again, you want to head that off early in the season. You want to make sure that you've sounded off about it and you've let the players know you're not happy, because you want to avoid this snowballing into other losses, and then there's going to be more headaches for the Canucks from there. Cale Makar made NHL history last night. He became the fastest defenseman to reach 250 points. Took him 241 games, which is absolutely insane. Bobby Orr, it took 247. For Denny Potvin, it took 251. So those are the next defensemen that are that close. For Makar, yeah, he is one of the best offensive defensemen in the history of the game. He's also very good defensively. He's just, I think, the most well-rounded defenseman in the game. And I don't think he's going to end up scoring at the same rate as Bobby Orr from here. Orr had some fantastic seasons with Boston. So while he's ahead of Orr, I don't expect it to stay that way. I love Makar's game. I don't think he's going to start scoring 110, 120 points, anything in that range. But it is nice to see him set that mark. And again, it feels like Makar's best days are probably in front of him. He's still very young, especially for a defenseman. So with Winnipeg, there's some troubling discussion to be had here. They come out of last night's game. They lose 5-1. Dubois looked very good for the Kings in his return, which didn't make the fans happy. Gabe Vilardi is being reevaluated today for an injury suffered in the first period last night. He's obviously not at practice today. That's not optimal. And there were about 4,000 empty seats, which has got some discussion out there. Remember, for Winnipeg, it is the smallest arena in the league. So if you lose 4,000 fans in Winnipeg's arena, it is a little bit different than losing it in another. And so, we'll see how Winnipeg gets things going because, again, a 1-2 start and looking sloppy out there and everything. If this ends up being an ugly season. So I guess the question I have is, if Winnipeg falls out of playoff contention, let's just say that the slow start ends up that, they're not a playoff team. Let's say they're 5 games below 500 by Christmas. It's clear they're not going to make the playoffs. Does that attendance just keep dropping off? What other moves then are made to fix things? And then the question, too, I would have is, so do they look at Kevin Cheveldayoff? Because, again, obviously Rick Bowness as coach would end up being out in all likelihood. Or do you look at the general manager? If you're looking at apathy in the market, do you put that on the GM? Do you put that on the coach? Or do you put that on the players? And it's not easy to put that on the players, especially after you've bought out Wheeler, you've traded out Dubois, you just re-signed Scheifele, you re-signed Hellebuck. It's going to be an interesting picture with the Winnipeg Jets. I want to see them do well. I want to see them make the playoffs. But after last night's game against the Kings, that was embarrassing. That's embarrassing, and that's at home. And I think it has to be troubling to Mark Chipman. I think it has to be troubling as well to their owner Thompson as well. And even if Thompson's worth multi-billions of dollars and he's the richest man in Canada. Again, if this team is losing money, if that becomes a thing, again, we'll see what happens. But interesting times with Winnipeg to be sure. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.